Hey friends, and welcome back to Wild Hearts Homestead. Long time no see. I'm sure just like you, we are super busy with the summertime, getting all of our stuff done in the garden, going on lots of fun adventures, and soaking up as much sunshine as possible. It's nearly the end of June, and we cannot get to the end of this month without doing a June garden tour. So we're going to show you what's going on in the garden, all the work we've been doing behind the scenes, and everything that's growing. Let's go. Do you remember this elderberry bush that I chopped way down so that I would be able to reach it? Well, it's defying me, and it's grown way over the top of the garage. I'll definitely need a ladder to harvest the elderberries off of our bush this year. It's still sending up tons of shoots out here. I'm gonna have to get in here again and dig up elderberry shoots out of here. Our little Japanese maple looks super cute. Our catnip is flowering back here. And the Japanese beetles have come and they love to demolish my rose bushes. You can see my poor rose bushes are just completely eaten. Our coneflower is looking great. This is our echinacea. We've got our oregano spreading out through here and a lot of weeds. This bed is on my to-do list to get out here and get these weeds pulled and get a fresh layer of mulch down here. In our pots over here, we have some ginger. It's starting to come up. And we have a flower I got from a friend that needs to get in the ground. But our ginger really likes to be a, what's it called when it likes to be underneath another plant? It likes to be like in the understory. So it doesn't want to be out in the full sun. It likes to be kind of in the shade, and it likes to be kept moist. We put a little redbud tree out here outside of our garden. Hopefully it might get big enough to give us a little bit of shade in here, because I think with this heat, we haven't had rain for weeks and the heat's been pretty intense. So I finally broke down and got a sprinkler system for the garden and put it in. It really didn't cost that much, and the time savings for me is very worth it. All along the fence over here, I have tomatoes. They're supposed to be all Romas, but this looks like it's a cherry tomato. In between our tomatoes, I've put in some holy basil. We've got some elephant ear amaranth and some zinnias popped in here. But most of this is Roma tomatoes in our first row in the garden here. And they're looking pretty good. They're not looking as awesome as the tomatoes that I have in the middle part of the garden. I think the outer edge of this soil is just a little bit hard. We've got a volunteer watermelon coming up there. And our Brussels sprouts are still alive, but they really didn't produce anything for us this year. In row number 2, we have some jalapenos. That one is looking terrible. I need to look into why that one looks so bad. This is a Thai basil down here. Thai basil is like more purpley. It's a spicier flavor, more for the Asian dishes. This row is just mix and match. Whatever I needed to get planted got put in here. So we've got watermelons, squashes, sunflowers, zinnias, basils, all just mixed in together here. And then if I ever had something that croaked, it didn't survive being transplanted, or I had some spots where my cats dug up some of my plants, I just replaced it with something else that needed to get planted. So we've got a mixed variety of things in here, but it's looking pretty good. I may need to come back through and put a couple more things in where I have some empty spots. This right here is borage. This is used for making salves, and I have right behind it, that smaller one back there is a comfrey. That is also used for making salves. So we're trying to do more growing our own plants to make salves this year. This is a really pretty looking zinnia, just about ready to flower. I love doing like mixed colors of zinnias and then having it be a surprise with what comes up in there. If we could eat Bermuda grass, we would all be eating like kings. Bermuda grass doesn't care how hot and dry it is, it will grow. In our third row, we have some potatoes and a rose bush and a few more potatoes. I have been starting to pull up the potatoes when they've been dying off and putting in squashes. So this is all butternut squashes in here, and I've put some more of the amaranth, the elephant ear amaranth, in between the squashes. There was a ton of slugs when I was pulling up the potatoes in here. So I tried doing some beer traps. I haven't caught any slugs with it yet. We'll see if it works, but I'm trying really hard because this section down here was all planted with spaghetti squash, and there are 2 left in there. The slugs came and ate them all. So we have that butternut squash, and then there's, spaghetti squash. There's one more spaghetti squash down there, and I have elephant ear amaranth planted in there, and then I had a couple random squashes that I had started, and the tags faded. So I threw those in there too, since the other squashes didn't go, and we'll see what happens. The heat has been so intense. I've been trying to get out here really early in the morning, but I still have a lot of stuff I have to get planted. So like this squash, I'm just trying to power through the heat and get it done and get as much as I can in the ground before July 4th. Because if I don't get my pumpkins and watermelons and stuff in the ground by July 4th, there's really no point in me growing them. They're not gonna be ready in time. So I'm trying really, really, really hard to push and get that all done. In row number 4, we still have broccoli. I have still been coming out and picking off of the broccoli. It is going to flower pretty fast, but if I can get out here every day, I am able to get like small pieces, like enough to make like one meal every couple of days with the broccoli. And every now and then I'll get like a nice larger size head from it. I don't see any big ones on there. Oh my goodness, look at these Japanese beetles. They decided the rose bushes were eaten up enough, they were going to come over and take my broccoli too. Well, the broccoli's on its last leg, so it's probably fine. And then finishing out row number 4, we have one more section of potatoes, which they're looking like they might need to start getting pulled up pretty soon. They were flowering a couple weeks ago, so they probably could get pulled up and be fine. Row number 5 is not quite complete. We have some pickled cucumbers in here. I was actually planning on selling pickles this year. I had a bunch of people last year that I gave pickles to, and then they were asking me to sell them this year because they wanted to buy them from me. So I was planning on planting a ton of pickles, a ton of cucumbers to make pickles, and then selling them. And then I found out it's illegal to sell pickles in South Carolina. So that kind of ruined my plans for that. But these ones are specifically for growing pickle cucumbers, small little cucumbers that you would use for pickling. And then the rest of this row is beefsteak tomatoes. They were planted last because we don't use the beefsteak as much. We use them for like salsas, but we are not a family that will just like bite into a tomato and eat a lot of like big fresh beefsteak tomatoes. We'll eat cherry tomatoes. They were planted last, so they are quite a bit behind my other tomatoes because they were planted much later. Hello, mister. Caspian got moved out here this morning because we're getting some work done in the back, and it is hot. You can tell he's not super fond of this heat, but the East Frisian breed of sheep, they don't do so well with the heat as much as some other breeds do. They're more of a cool weather type sheep. Hi, buddy. Your babies are looking gorgeous. Itchy. Right, so rows 5 and 6 are under tarp. We are not doing anything with those yet. We may get those filled up with something. We'll just have to see how things go. If not, that will be where we put our fall crops when it's time to start planting fall things. Row number, what is this on now? 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Row number 7. So our peas are just about done. They are not loving the heat, so I am going to come out either tonight or tomorrow sometime, hopefully, and I'm just going to get off all the pea pods that are left on here. I save seeds by just forgetting to pick every now and then they get big and I have seeds for next year. So there's a bunch of pods on here like that. They get dry and then I can take them in and have seed for the following year. Going on down the row, we have a couple of Roma tomato plants. They are absolutely loaded with tons of tomatoes. They're so heavy they're falling over. This year, I am doing something different. I am not pruning my tomatoes. I am not staking up my tomatoes. I am just letting them do their thing, and we'll see how that goes. It may be awesome. It may end horribly, but they're looking good so far, so we'll see what happens. the cucumbers have been giving us tons and tons. These are the full-size cucumbers, like the slicers that you would use. We've been making cucumber salads. Oh, there's a big one down there. Do you see that? Hold on, we'll go around to get it. Here it is. That's a big one that I missed. Oh, there's two. Wow. Cucumber salad for everyone. We've been getting tons of cucumbers. Just 2 cucumber plants over here, and I've got a ton in my fridge I'm ready to make pickles with. And then right after the cucumbers, I have my cherry tomatoes. Now, look at these cherry tomatoes. These ones are cherry tomatoes, and these ones are cherry tomatoes. But that's a huge difference. I don't know why these ones decided they thought it was a competition this year, but they are ginormous. They are not a grape-sized cherry tomato, but I'm going to come back out here in a little bit and pick all of these so that we have some in the fridge. This is more like the size that it's supposed to be, like this one right here. This is more like what the size was of them last year, so they're in competition this year. All right, we're on to row number 9. We have gotten our sweet potatoes into row 9. I am still working on getting sweet potatoes in, so these ones were obviously planted first. They are doing very well, and as we go down the line, some of those I just planted 2 days ago. So we're working on getting this mulched and getting all of the rest of the potatoes in. I still have maybe a handful of potatoes left to do, and so it probably will go all the way down to the end of that row, and then we'll get the walkways mulched and get around the plants mulched when they start growing, and then we'll be good to go. Are you keeping up with the counting? Because I may have lost count. I have to keep counting where I'm at in my rows. Row number 10. We've got bell peppers. They're going slow this year. I have 1 bell pepper looking really amazing, and the rest of bell peppers are but we'll see. They take a long time. And then this row down here, I had a jar full of corn that moths had gotten into, and I thought I was just gonna throw it out to the chickens, but I figured maybe some of it would grow. And look at it. It grew so thick. I thought there's no way it's gonna germinate well. It is doing awesome. I think a big game changer is having the sprinkler. I got a timer for it too, so all I have to do is set the timer. It turns on in the morning by itself. It waters my garden by itself while I'm doing my other work. And it's amazing. And I don't have to worry about it not raining for weeks, because I was coming out here every night with buckets because my spigot on the front of the house was broken. So I didn't even have enough hoses to reach all the way through the garden to get it watered. So I was coming out here with buckets and trying to water the garden, and it was miserable. So I finally broke down and got sprinklers and a couple extra hoses and a new handle for the spigot so I could fix it. I'm telling you, it's amazing. I'm so happy that I have it. It was well worth the money, because I hate spending money on the garden, because I'm doing this to save money. I am not doing it to be fancy or pretty or anything like that. I am doing it to save money. So I hate spending money on the garden, but this was well worth the money that I spent, and it really wasn't that much. I think for all of it, it was like $120 for 2 hoses, 3 sprinklers, the handle for the spigot, and the timer. It's not bad. All right, row number 11 is where I'm a little bit sad about my garden this year, so bear with me. All right, so this row, we've got our chives, we've got some more broccoli, which I have gotten a little bit off of. We've got dill, which I got lots of dill weed, and I'm getting my dill seeds now. We've got cabbages, which are pretty small. They haven't really gotten that big. And cauliflower. And peppers. These bell peppers are looking pretty good. This one down here is like stealing the show. Look at this one. It's got lots of peppers on there. It's looking real good. But I don't know, it's so funny because I do everything the same with my plants. Like, they all get the same amount of, like, if I give them fish emulsion, they all get the same. If they get whatever, it's all the same. And it's so funny to me how they could be so different. Like, that one is so tiny, this one is so big, and they're all getting the same treatment. They're getting the same amount of water, same amount of sun, everything. So it's just interesting. This is a new one for me this year. I decided to start planting black beans. We eat a lot of black beans. We don't eat a whole lot of other beans, so I just got some black beans from the grocery store, soaked them, planted them, and we'll see how it goes. Supposedly they don't need to be like trellised or anything. They're more like a bush type bean. And I need to get out here and plant more of them because they take longer than a green bean does. So we need to get out here and plant some more of our black beans so we have more to eat. Remember how I was saying I think the soil around the edges of the garden is compacted and that's causing some of my plants not to grow as well, the ones that are on the edge. Let's look at the last row of the garden. So this is row number 12, and these cabbages were this size when they were put in the ground and they never grew any bigger. They just stayed that way. Now I have a squash down here that's doing okay. That one's growing fine. And the dill grew fine, but the cauliflowers and the cabbages that I had in this row, they are the same size they were when I put them in the ground back in March. They have not grown. So I think maybe just the soil is compacted or something that they're not growing very well. I'm not sure exactly. So my brassicas were super disappointing for me this year. But what we might do is finish this row with more beans all the way down, and I'm not going to plant this edge over here because this edge seems to be not doing well for some reason. Not sure exactly why. I have a few more fun things that I planted in the front garden over here. Here's our yarrow blooming. Still haven't used it. I had another friend come over, look at my garden, and they were so excited that I have it, and I'm like, yeah, I still haven't used any of it yet. This one is also a comfrey, so I've been told from a friend, for making salves. This one is mullein. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it. I got it from the state park of all places and got some seeds off of one of the plants and planted it, and it came up and it is humongous. I thought it was lamb's ear, and I thought lamb's ear and mullein were the same plant. But I was kindly educated this week by one of my friends on Facebook that it is not lamb's ear, and lamb's ear and mullein are different plants for different uses. So I'm told this plant, when it flowers, you use the flowers for making teas, and you do not use it for making salves. So yeah, but that's fine, education. The name of the game this year is efficiency, because I have taken on more on my plate, as crazy as I am, and so I have to make things more efficient at home and make it so stuff is not needing to be watered as much or tended to as much or weeded as much or whatever. So I've been having to kind of tweak my methods a little bit to be less labor intensive, but still very productive. This is my son's little 4-H garden. It's doing pretty well. I've been helping him water it, but other than that, he comes out here and he loves putting his hands in it, and I have to kind of when he squishes stuff or destroys a plant, because it's his garden and he needs to learn. So it's his, and it's doing pretty good. Our strawberry patch is just about wrapped up. I don't think we're going to get any more from this. I think just a combination of the lack of rain and the heat, that they're just kind of, they turned really tiny. They're still fine, they still taste good, but we're just getting a couple here and there, really tiny ones. I started putting them, if I get them in the freezer, so I can maybe make something, put them in our ice cream or make something with them. We're starting to get into time to start canning stuff. We just went and got 3 gallons of blueberries from the farm down the road. It was a really good price too. It was $12 for a gallon of blueberries, and they're not sprayed or anything, and their blueberry fields were huge. I couldn't even see the end of it. If you're local, they're called Mixon Farms, M-I-X-O-N. Very nice people. They have lots of stuff at their farm. Okay, so we're back to the back garden where things are a little bit less crazy and a little bit more controlled. So let's look at this one, and then we'll check our grapes before we're done today. All right, so in my back garden, this soil back here is pretty good. I did a whole ton of work and got this cardboarded and mulched because this was all super weedy and just a pain in the butt. So it's gotten cardboarded and mulched, so at least it will slow down the weeds a little bit. We've got zucchini planted in here, green beans, pole beans along the side over there. We've got a couple tomatoes. I'm trying to remember if they were Abe Lincoln or Amish paste. I can't remember. I know it was one of those two. so I'm not sure. I put a couple of sugar pie pumpkins in here. Those ones came up, those ones did not. So we need to plant some more pumpkins. We have some marigolds that are starting to bloom. They're looking really good. And I'm planning on getting these carrots out very soon. I'm not sure what I'm going to plant in this bed, but we're going to take these carrots up out of here and plant something else in here. We had a ton of bee balm come up. So this bee balm, this huge one back here, is from last year. That's another one for making for teas for colds. It's really great. It has like a little bit of a spicy flavor taste to it, but it's pretty good. But we had a bunch of them just like volunteer all through here, like this one, these ones, there's tons of them in there. Over in this section, if my cats don't destroy it, we planted corn. This is a yellow sweet corn, and we planted pole beans along the edge of the garden, and then we planted bush beans in the middle with the corn. So we'll see how that goes. We've got another holy basil over here, and I've been making tons and tons and tons of holy basil tea. We really enjoy it. And we've got our habanada peppers, and I saw some on here, some green ones. Where did I see them at? Might not have been this plant, but we have, oh, here's some. Got some green ones, so when they turn orange, then they'll be ready. And we use those for like salsa and stuff to give it a little bit of flavor, or maybe if I'm making, I don't know, like fajitas or something, I'll use some of those in there. A couple more zucchini in here and a green cabbage. The green cabbage, again, super tiny. I don't know, last year our cabbages did pretty good. This year, not so much. We've got a few more stray strawberries in here too. So I don't know if any of you guys know about spraying fruit trees. I have never personally sprayed my fruit trees, and this year something crazy happened with the pear tree I want to show you. We were getting tons and tons and tons of rain, and I don't know if maybe it was like a fungal thing from that, but we had like this orange fungus start growing on some of our pears and kind of destroy them. I only have, I think, one pear left that didn't get like the orange fungus. Like, you can see it like started growing like this orange fungus on the pears, and it kind of destroyed all of them. It's almost like hairs, like orange hairs growing out of them. But this is the only pear I have left that didn't get that fungus. So I need to do some research on spraying for, or like spraying my trees, like what to spray with them and when. I've never sprayed before. I've never had a problem before. This is the first year we've had this happen, but it destroyed all of our pears pretty much, and we had one apple on our apple trees. Our apple trees got this orange polka dot on the leaves. I'll show you real quick. I'm told that this is from pear trees. It's some kind of fungal infection, I guess, and it like makes these big bumps on the bottom of the leaves, and it puts orange spots all over the leaves. So next year we need to figure out what to do about spraying them before they fruit, so we don't lose our fruit next year. It's always something, right? You can never have a year where everything just goes perfect. You have some years where some stuff does amazing and some years where stuff does not amazing. You never know. Just depends on a lot of factors like weather and time and everything else that goes into gardening. I've been having this issue with my phone too, where it's so hot outside that if I try to take my phone outside with me, it will lock the phone down and say it has to cool down before you can use it. So that's also kind of been a deterrent to getting any kind of videos and stuff done in the summer heat. Something you probably wouldn't normally think about. But we're just walking over to check on our grapes. There was several bunches of green grapes on here. I'm hoping the deer won't take them this year. Let's go check. So this is the grapevine that I did not get moved closer to the house. It is huge and I really need to get it moved so I can get the trellis done and get it up off the ground. But it had a bunch of, let me see if I can find them if they're still here, green bunches of grapes in here. Let me see. Unless the deer came and ate them, which could be. I was hoping having the ram out here eating the yard would. Oh, there's some. All right, so here's some grapes down here. some grapes. There's some grapes. They also aren't getting watered, so that's probably not great. So I'm just gonna keep checking on them to see when they're ripe and pull them. But our sheep are growing their own pumpkins this year too. I think I had told you that. The pumpkins need watered really bad because like I said, we haven't had rain, so they're looking really sad. But they've got a couple big pumpkins from, I guess I threw pumpkins in here for them in the fall to eat, and the seeds sprouted and grew their own pumpkins. So they've got a few nice looking pumpkins in there for themselves, which is pretty awesome too. So I know it's been a while since we got to catch up, but I'd love to hear all of your fun, exciting adventures from this summer, what you're doing in the garden and how your garden is doing. Are you just taking a break this year? We are plugging away, and I never feel like I'm making as much progress as I would like to. There's always so much I want to get done, and there's just such a small amount of time that I have available to work on all the things I want to do. But I'm really glad that we got to catch up and that we got to hang out today. And I'm gonna put this together for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.